Okay, so we're holding on Daf Nun Gimel, right? Kuf Nun Gimel at the Mishnah.
Right.
Gimel Amarayah. We thank Hashem that you're able to learn Torah every day. It's supposed to be learning Hashem the base of Mikdash. Learning for Nishma, Savik all the Basra Yaman and Islamic Ben Siyam. And for Shlema, David Ben Sarah. And Gedali gets well, yes, been thinking to my mother also told me a name of a woman that was badly burnt. Let me see if I can find it. Give me 1 second.
Oh.
Just a second. Let me see if I can pull that out. And yeah, Milena Shmas, the Shliach.
Oh.
1 second. Okay. Esther Bracha Bas Chaya. Esther Bracha Bas Chaya. Apparently she was burnt. Okay. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not sure. Okay, let's get this back. Okay. The Mishnah starts. It says, Loi Kasav Bashchemira. We're talking about the document where he's giving all his possessions. It doesn't say in it that he is a Shchemira. They used to write in the document. He said this as he was laying on a sickbed. The Aramaic word for that is Kidakatzer Varami Ba'arse. Katzer means he is afflicted, something like that, and laying in bed. And but at the same time, it also didn't say that he was healthy. The way they would write that he's healthy was an expression, kad mahalach al ragloi, right? As he's standing and walking around. So it didn't say anything in there. So now he's now a healthy man, right? He's now a healthy man. He's saying that what I gave to you, the gift that I gave to you was because I was sick. But now I got better. So what happens when you give everything, when you don't leave over anything? So he's getting it back. They're saying that, what are you talking about? You were a healthy person. You didn't give it to us as a matna shchemira. You don't get anything back. The gift, it's a done deal. So it goes like this. He says that I was a shchemira when I gave it, and therefore I get it back. But the recipients are saying, you were healthy. Who is on whom is the onus of the obligation to prove? Yeah. Yeah. Who's the one that's extracting? Would say, well, it used to be his, right? It used to be his, but they have a document.
The Shivra only takes place when it doesn't pass it.
Yeah, but a document is sort of like, you got it. If you want to disprove the document, they're claiming that it's not conditional. It's only conditional document, according to one opinion. So that's here's the machlekes. The document doesn't allude to that at all. The document is just a plain document. So the mayor holds that the obligation is on the giver. In other words, it automatically belongs to the recipient. He has to bring a proof. The giver has to bring a proof that he was a shchemira. If you want to get it back, it automatically belongs to the recipient if they have a document.
Yesterday, didn't we have an example that if a person was healthy, he could retract?
Only if it was a gift of shchemira.
He really hasn't done it, but not as sick.
And you could retract after a bari can retract the gift. No, a bari can't retract from the gift unless he says a stipulation in it. So, how do you ever made a sale and then the person says in the house?
In stores, they have 30 days to return the stuff.
No, there's no such thing as 30 days to return in Torah. That's a modern thing.
Or just it is the same way.
You can't. Yeah, once you sign, you're finished. It's finished. How do we get into this thing with 30 days in the modern world? I have no idea. Why do we do that? Wasn't that way in all of history? It wasn't. You have time to see if it works, and then you give it back. You signed it. You finished.
Maybe it's just been making things in China.
Maybe that's why. Maybe because of outsourcing. Because of okay. The Chacham say no. It's funny because the expression of the Chachamim is on who? Who's the Maitzi? That's the way we were describing it. But the Chacham is saying no. The recipient is the Maitzi because it used to belong to him. So that's the way they're phrasing it. So if they want to prove that it was a matnas bari, they have to bring a proof. He's claiming that it was matnas chemira. They're trying to take the field from him, fields, whatever, and he's saying no. I recovered.
Presumably, the items are still in his control because he didn't die.
Right.
So he's got the goods, and they have a piece of paper. Right. So the question is whether that piece of paper is just the burden.
But they're going to get it when he dies, and the inheritors won't get it. Even though he still has it now, but that paper is a real contract.
Well, no. If he gave it to him as a Shakiv Meirah, then he gets better.
Well, that's only it. Hillel is saying, but they can change his mind. You can't change your mind if it's a matnas bari. Once you give a gift to someone, you can't say, now I want to give it to someone else.
Because he was made aware of it. So we have an example that multiple wills and
in a will, we had a discussion. In a will, we said, if you have a will, but that's not something that's not considered that it's already received by them. That's not considered received. That's what he would like to do with it afterward. This is considered a matana. This is considered a transaction.
as soon as he sells it.
Yeah. Well,
this reminds me. I once read a biography, or partly read a biography of Anwar Sadat, and he relates that he was asked, "How could you have entered into a treaty with the Jew Begin? How could you have done such a terrible thing?" He said, "Oh, it's really very simple. I got the Sinai, and he got a piece of paper."
okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Really crazy. Okay. My father had a friend in Rhode Island that was his name was Baruch Korf. Baruch Korf was his name. He was a friend of Nixon. And he was like involved in orchestrating that. He was very proud of it. No one else was, but he was proud of it. So anyway, okay. Ahu matnasa, davikasaba, karavikatsev rami ba'arsei. It was a gift that it said in the gift. There was a gift document, right? That said in it as he was ill and laying in bed. Okay, that sounds like matna shemira. All good, right? It says he's ill and laying in bed. Like kasava umigoy mare iftale beisalme, but it didn't say that he died because of the illness. So apparently they would like adjust the document afterwards and say that this is a gift to him because it was given to him when it was gifted when the owner was ill, and he died in his because of that illness. It didn't say that. So it just says when he was ill, he had this document written. Well, question is, we know that now he's dead, but the question is, did he die from that illness, or maybe he recovered in the middle? A highly complex situation. If he recovered, so then he gets back, right?
This gift is like I said that earlier. So it recovers and then passes up something else.
Yeah, because he stood up. It wasn't a gift of. It would have to be a gift of all his property. All his property, right? If he left something out, then that wouldn't come back to him. Well, I'm a Rabbah. Rabbah says, "What are you worried about? Hare mace, the person died. I don't need the document to say that he died from the illness. I have the gravestone or the grave that says that he died from the illness. So that's good enough. He died. What more do you need?" Amalei Abaya, Abaya says to Rabbah, Abaya is a student of Rabbah. Abaya says, nope. Hashta masvi nashrubam labanis l'chaim l'chaim mesim chaylen shreifem l'chaim l'kolshkin. If there's a woman that's married to a Kohen, let's say, she's not a bas, she's not a bas Kohen. So because she's married, she's allowed to eat truma. She doesn't have children. If she has children, even if the husband dies, she can still eat truma. She has a son or whatever, but she doesn't have children. And now the husband went on a boat, and the boat got lost at sea. We don't know is he alive or not. So we say that she can't eat truma because we think that maybe he died. At the same time, if there would be a woman that was a bas Kohen that was married to a Yisrael, also without children, she should really be able to eat truma if her husband had passed away. But she's married to a Yisrael, so if she's married, she can't eat truma. So we say that this woman also can't eat truma. So both of these, the bas Kohen and the Eishes Kohen, both can't eat truma because of this boat. Now the boat, the rule by the boat is Ruben la'abed. At some point, all these boats are going to sink. That's and at some point the boats are going to sink. So there's a chazak over here that he's not surviving. At the same time, we say that we have to put on the wife the strictness that maybe he did survive. Okay, so if that's the case, chaylen, when it comes to people that are ill, reiv chaylam l'chaim, most ill people survive. Yeah, because they get sick. Most people survive from the sickness. Most sicknesses, they survive from. So, right? So, this is a very funny statistic. It's strange because what it sounds like is most boat trips sink.
And in disaster.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Well, like most boat trips end up sinking. I guess either the way there or the way back.
The way that they have a translation says where most of the passengers ultimately perish. Of a sinking. Sinking boat, and then.
Oh, it's different. He'll explain it to me. It's different. Thank you. Thank you. The boat sunk. Most people on the boat of a sinking boat die. Now it makes sense. Yeah, that's much better. Very good. Most passengers of a sinking boat die, but most ill people, most people that say I got to lay down, don't they survive. Okay, so if that's the case, so here we're talking about, we were thinking we don't know where the person is, right? Because they got lost. Maybe they found some sort of raft and made it to shore. But no, because the boat sunk, it got lost at sea, means that it sunk somewhere. So we assume that, even though we could assume that he died, but we don't. Now, where we shouldn't assume that he died from that illness, because most people that get ill, they recover. So if that's the case, so then why do we say that he automatically died from that illness? He probably recovered. He died from something else. That's Abaya's proof.
If someone gets lost in sleep or falls in anything, they'll look for them for 7 to 12 hours afterwards.
Uh-huh.
That's unusual, we're saying.
A year, let's see. What did he eat?
I heard about that.
What did he eat? He ate fish?
I think it was a year.
Really?
With a Russian guy?
There was this thing with the plane crash where someone they didn't find them and the people were survived really.
I think like the Japanese that were like still on the islands after
They thought the war was still going on.
Yeah. They were just told us.
They put okay. So Amar Rav Huna, that's the Machlekes Rabbah and Abaya. Abaya says Machlekes over here is if we don't know if he died from that illness. Abaya says he probably didn't, and Rabbah says he probably did. That would change the halacha if the recipient receives the gift or not. Amar Rav Huna Breid Rabbi Shua Kamanas lahashmaitza de Rabbah. That opinion of Rabbah that we say that the person probably died because right now he's dead, probably died from that illness. So who does that follow? We say it follows Reb Nassan. It follows the opinion of Reb Nassan, who's much earlier. It's a Tana, right? The Tana was taught in a brisa. Mi meitzim yad mi. A similar story. There was a gift that it doesn't say if it was a bari, if it was a healthy gift, or if it was a shlemira. And now they start arguing. This one says it was a shlemira. This one, the giver says that he was ill when he gave the gift, and therefore now he recovered. He wants it back. And the other one is the recipient say, no, you were healthy. So it says, who might see me a day in Belay Raya? The giver can take it back. He doesn't need to bring a proof. But they need to bring a proof. If they want to get the gift, they need to bring a proof that he was healthy when he made the gift. Rav Nassan says no. Im barihu, if right now he's healthy, alav laviraya sheish chimira. He has to prove that he was ill. Im shchimirahu, but if now he's ill, alehen laviraya shebariyaya. Then they have to bring a proof. Depends when the argument started. They have to bring a proof that he was healthy, if that's what they were claiming. Right? They're already fighting before he even got healthy. Yeah. Came out with a new medicine and they're getting nervous. So what we're seeing from Reb Nassan is that he takes a chazaka of basar hashta. We look at the situation as it is now, and we assume that's how it was in the past, which is really what Rabbah did. Rabbah said, look, we see that he died. He probably died from that illness. And we just take it backwards, right? You take as it is now, we assume everything was the same previously as it is now, right? That's what Reb Nassan and Rabbah are holding. So that's what the Gemara is saying. Rav Huna Breid Rabbi Shua says, who does Rabbah go like? That say that if he's dead, he probably died from this illness. That would be Reb Nassan that says you look at Basar Hashta.
That's easier if one a little bit of time in between things, but when there's a bigger gap, like how
Yeah, that I'm not sure. Right. But anything that's a doubt, according to this, we would just You have two ways. What do you assume? You assume that, well, previously, before he was ill, he was healthy. So let's assume that he was healthy until he was ill. And so the gift was probably when he was healthy. Or do I look at it the other way? So, well, right now he's ill. So he's probably been ill for as long back until I know that he wasn't. So you have to, which way do you assume things? One opinion is Basar Hashta. You look at it as it is now and you assume that that's the way it is until I know differently. That's what Reb Nassan is saying. Amar Rabbi Lazar says, like this. When it comes to Tumah, we have a machlekes, which is similar to the one that we just had. Now, what's the case by Tumah? So it goes like this. We have a rule that a suffix Tumah b'rshus hayachid, any doubt of impurity that took place in a private area, we say is tameh. And any doubt of impurity that took place in a public area, we say is tar. We learn this from Saita. Saita is called tameh, right? And where would that take place? Only in a private area where no one else was there. Only her and this other person. So what about an area that's the Tanan? It was taught in the Mishnah Bika. When it comes to like a field or a valley, now there's a fence around it, but it's not necessarily considered like private. It's like somewhere in the middle between private and public. It's like maybe a large park or something. If it's the summer, then it's a Rishus HaYachid l'Shabbos. However, Rishus HaRabim l'Tumah. It's a Rishus HaYachid for Shabbos because there's a fence around it. But when it comes to Tumah, because there's people there, we consider it a Rishus HaRabim. People go to this park. They go outside. They walk in it. And even though it's surrounded by fence, there's people that are passing through. So it's considered Rishus HaRabim. When do we say Safik Tumah Rishus HaYachid? It's telling me when you don't have people. So there's a difference between a Rishus HaYachid for Shabbos and a Rishus HaYachid for Tumah. However, in Ma'aseh Geshamim in the winter, then Rishus HaYachid l'kan. It's Rishus HaYachid for both. Okay. Now, what we're saying is that if someone went into the Bika, went into this field or valley, he doesn't know if he went in the summer, went in the winter. So we have to see when he's asking the question. If he's asking the question in the summer, then we would assume, according to Reb Nassan, that says you look at it as it is now. Then he probably had probably it would be the same halacha, which would be that it would be tahar because it's considered Rishus HaRabim. He's asking the question in the winter, then we assume that that's what happened. He doesn't remember exactly when he went through, when the shaila came up. So we're assuming based on the way he's asking it now, we'll take it back. And that would be the machlekes from Nas and Reb Yaakov. Reb Yaakov would say no. Okay. Reb Yaakov, you say, you put what's tahar, it has an original chazaka. It used to be tar, so you assume it's tar now as well. Until witnesses tell me that it changed. Right? Erev, mikvah, and all that stuff. Okay. Amar Rava, Rashbam says this is a new Gemara. Amar Rava Leishano. This that we taught that there's a difference between the winter, the summer, that if he goes through in the winter, it's considered Rishus HaRabim l'Tumah. That's Shleyavrala Yemaisa Geshamim. Avalavrala Yemaisa Geshamim Rishus HaYachid l'kan. He's saying it's like this, that if after they fenced it in, already a winter went by, then once it became a Rishus HaYachid, we consider it Rishus HaYachid. After it continues to be a Rishus HaYachid after the status of Rishus HaYachid doesn't change. Okay, that's what he says. There's another opinion here, another pshat which he rejects. Chacham say that you have to bring a proof. You have to bring a proof of that he was a bari, that he was healthy at the time when he gave the gift, and that he can't retract. That's the opinion of the Chacham. That's the Chacham of the Mishnah. It says Raya b'mai. What type of proof the Chachamim expecting that the person has to bring in order to say that the gift is valid. Rav Huna Amar Raya Be'edim. Rav Huna says that he has to bring proof with witnesses. We'll see what that means in a moment. And Rav Chisda v'Rabba bar Rav Huna Amri, they say Raya B'kiyam Ashtar, that all they have to do is just prove the document. Once they prove the document correct, then it's automatically valid. How do they prove the document? They validate the document with the witnesses. They say that we know that this is correct because we know that the witnesses are valid signatures. And then, see, the problem with that is what's our problem? I have a guy that's gave the fields, right? He gave this. Now, if he tells me that the document is valid, then we should believe him because he's the one that's giving it out, giving the fields away. He says, yeah, it's a good document. We wrote this document. And he's saying also, the only thing is, I just want to add in one detail that, yeah, the document is a valid document, but I was ill when we wrote it. And if I get better, I'm taking it back. So it's a peshas or a peshahita. He'll be believed because he could say the document wasn't valid. So the Chachamim are saying that once you validate that document, then he loses his claim because he loses the peshasa. Because I know the document is valid from another source. So you lose the peshasa or peshiter. So that would be good enough. So in other words, there's two opinions here. What the Chachamim are expecting when they're saying that you have to bring proof. Do they have to bring proof that he actually was healthy? You have to get witnesses that know that he was healthy, or do they just have to get witnesses to say that this is a valid document, and then we don't need anything else because he has no say? It's the interesting approach. Two approaches here. Yeah, that was when there was a Kenyan together with a Matna Shchimera, or if he said he only wanted to go together with the star, then it confuses things. Yeah. Okay, so now the Gemara explains. Rav Huna Amar, Rav Huna's opinion was Raya Be'edim, that you bring witnesses. Kamiflgi bepukta the Rabbi Yaakov Reb Nassan. They're arguing about Rabbi Yaakov Reb Nassan. The problem is that he's right now, he's healthy. Right now he's healthy. He's saying that when I gave it, I was sick. So, Reb Meir's opinion. Let's take a look. I'll spell it out. Reb Meir Reb Nasser. Reb Meir holds like Reb Nasser. Reb Meir said that the giver of the gift has to bring a proof that he was ill. Why does he have to bring proof that he was ill? Because right now he's healthy. So prove it that when you gave it, you were ill. Who holds that if right now you're healthy, we assume that you were healthy previously? That's the opinion of Reb Nassan that says you go after Chazaka Dahash. Whatever it is now, that's how we assume was previously. The fact that Reb Meir says that that the giver has to bring the proof because he's looking at it as he is now. So Reb Meir Reb Nassan. Rabbanan that say the opposite, that the recipient has to bring the proof. Rabbanan Reb Yaakov, they all like Reb Yaakov, that say that since it used to be his and you're trying to get it, you have to prove that he was healthy back then, even though he's healthy now. But it's not. But the gift isn't yours until you prove that. So they're the mitzi.
Doesn't really answer the question.
It's just, yeah, a lot of times the Mishnah just have machlekes, but it doesn't tell us who. In the Gemara, we don't even need the Gemara to tell me. A lot of times I know that machlekes from May and Chachamim, I'm going to go like the Chachamim. Yeah, and then sometimes machlekes in Gemara, the Gemara will tell me who's the. But in the Mishnah, we sort of have rules that are set up. Yeah. Sorry, you want to say something? Let me do this. Okay. That was the opinion of Rav Huna. Rav Chisda Rabba Bar Rav Huna Amri, they say, Raya became a stark miflagi. They're arguing over the argument in our Mishnah, which is a machlekes between Rav Meir and the Chachamim, is in machlekes has to do with kiyam ashtar. B'mayde b'shtar kamiflagi, Raya became a star. I put the comma in the wrong place. Kamiflagi, they're arguing about that if the person that's the how to say this, if the defendant, I guess, if he agrees to the document, do you have to still validate the document? So that over here it's the giver. In another case, it's going to be the borrower. Because a document on a promissory note, the borrower would be the defendant, and the creditor is claiming the money for it. If the borrower agrees, that was the original case. If the borrower agrees that the document is valid, you still have to validate it. Or is that, or is it just good enough that he said off his?
The thing about the person not say that they go to, but is that only spiritual?
That's only with prohibitions. A person can always say that he owes money. You can't say that I stole it. Can't say that I stole it on Shabbos. And I carried it on Shabbos. That we don't trust him about that. But you can say that I owe the money. So it goes like this: Reb Meir Sava, Reb Meir that holds that the obligation is on the giver to prove that he was ill at the time of giving it. Otherwise, they're taking the fields, right? That's Reb Meir's opinion. So, according to this, he's saying, if he says that the document is good, then we don't need to bring proof from anywhere else. What that means is, it really takes us into another case. In cases, if someone said, if someone says, the original case here.
If he was a British or
Yeah, but 1 second. We're borrowing a case from somewhere else. Yeah, let me jump to the next case. I think that clarifies it better. Actually, it goes like this. Okay, well, let's do it with this case. He's saying that it was that he's a shchemira. He's saying that he's a shchemira. He's agreeing that the document is valid. However, he's throwing in one detail but I was ill when I wrote it, or when I had it written. So therefore, if I recover, it's not gonna. So basically, we're putting on him. If theoretically we could say that if you're the one that's telling me that it's valid, then you can also tell me that there's this one detail in here that you were ill. That would be a peshas or a peshit. So Reb Meir says we don't say a peshas or a peshit.
there's a better one to admit that you wrote promissory notes.
That's the same. A peshas is a migo. Reb Meir says we don't say that there's a migo here because we're not really relying on you that the document is valid, because we think the document is valid even without you. So what you're saying doesn't really, when you're trying to say that there's that detail. We didn't say the document was valid because of you. We thought the document was valid anyway, because naturally a star is valid. The question is how much credit, how much validity do we give to a document without it being validated? According to Reb Meir, we give a lot of validation to the document, and therefore, when you come and tell me that it's valid, you're not really doing much. So, the way he puts it is, I don't really need to get it validated from somewhere else, and therefore your validation is not really much anyway, and so therefore I don't trust you. Rabbanan Sabri, they say no. If you agree that it's written, we still need another source to validate it, because otherwise the whole document is in your hands to say those details. So the Chachamim say that they have to prove that the document is valid, because if they don't prove that the document is valid, then the original owner of all of this property is able to say, since I'm the one that's validating the document, I'm also telling you that I was ill. So tzarech lakami, you have to validate it from another source to get him out of that pesha asay. You have to take the trust, that trust away from him, right? The whole basis of this trust. So we have a machlekes Reb Meir and the Rabbanon right now if the document is considered valid without his validation. According to the Chachamim, it's only valid because of his validation, and therefore we would assume that he's ill, that he was ill at the time, because he's the one that's telling me it's valid. He's also telling me that it was ill. So therefore, how do you get that? How do you get rid of that? You just validate the star from somewhere else. The Gemara asks about Fliga b'chadazimna, but we had a machlekes about this before, between the Reb Meir and the Chachamim. Why do they have to argue about exactly the same machlekes one more time without saying exactly what they're arguing about, right? What was the other case? Titania, we have a brisa. This is talking about witnesses that say they're testifying that the signatures on this document are their own signatures. However, we were forced into signing. He had a gun to our head and he made us sign it. Or at the time that we signed it, we were puzzled. Or we were children when we signed it. So they're the ones that are telling me that it's valid, that it's their signatures, and they're also telling me that it's puzzled. So do we trust them at all, or do we need their statements at all? So Reb Meir says, we don't need their statements. We don't trust them to say the document's invalid because the document was valid without them saying anything. Normally a document is valid. The Chacham say no. It's only valid because of them. And since they're telling me that it was puzzled, that they were puzzled when they said, so then it's we trust them. So that's exactly the machlekes by us. Why do we have to have two machlekes in? It says like this. It's necessary. If it would only say that case, we're talking about witnesses, but he come a Rabbanan over there. The Rabbanan say that they're trusted. Over there, there's a difference in the two cases. Over there, I have two witnesses that are telling me that there's a problem with the document because their signatures were when they were puzzled or they were forced. But here, who the lav kol kaminei? Over here, I don't have two witnesses that are telling me there's a problem with the document. I just have the guy himself that's telling me there's a problem with the document. So over here, maybe I would say that we don't trust him. Maybe only the Chachamim say that we trust those witnesses only by the witnesses, but by us maybe not. So we have to have the machlekes over here to say that we would trust him as well, without another source. And if it would only say in this case, in our case, over here, Reb Meir says that we don't trust the fellow. But in that case over there, where the two witnesses are telling me that they were invalid, maybe we would rely on the Rabbanan. So tzricha. Okay. The Chain Amar Rabba. Rabba also says Raya Be'edim, that you have to bring witnesses, not that the document was valid, like Rav Huna. Rav Huna said you have to bring witnesses that he was ill or healthy at that time. That's the Amalei Abaya. Abaya says to Rabba, my timer. Why do you say you have to bring witnesses like that? They bring witnesses going back to the time when the document was written, if he was healthy or sick at that time. Is it because normally a document says in it, gotta have a malach al ragloi b'shuka, that he wrote the document when he was healthy. And over here, Baha like Sibba. And over here, it doesn't say that. So if you want to prove it, the Chachamim say you want to prove that he was healthy. Since it doesn't say that he was healthy, you have to bring witnesses that he was healthy. Because since it doesn't say that, I would assume naturally that he was probably ill. It didn't say he was healthy. Normally it says that he's healthy in the document. So the Chachamim say, you have to bring witnesses that tell me that he was. Abaye is asking Rabbah, why did the Chacham say you need to bring witnesses that say that he was healthy? Probably because normally you would say in the document that he is healthy. Over here it didn't say it, so we have to prove that he's healthy. But Abaye, 1 second, Abaye continues. It says, Rabbah, on the contrary, it didn't say he was sick. And if he was sick, it would have said he was sick. So obviously he was healthy. So why do you need to bring witnesses? It didn't say he was sick. It depends which way you want to pull it. You pull it this way, pull it that way. So he says like this. Well, they have a good point. You could say like this, you could say like that. So what we do is we leave in its status where it was originally, where it originally belonged to this fellow. We're going to leave it there until they can prove that he was healthy when he gave it. Because we could say that he was healthy, we could say that he was healthy. Let's leave it over here.
Otherwise, you're
What line are you on?
I'm up to Ubeplugta.
from 1 to 10.
It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 lines from the bottom.
Thank you.
Okay.
I forget, did we learn that the document in these circumstances needs 280?
A document would need to aid him unless it's in the handwriting of the borrower.
So those 280 are available to come and testify as to his condition.
Right.
So
Right.
this must be where there were no 80. Got this handwritten document.
We're not saying that there were no Adim. We're thinking that there were Adim on the document, and there's a possibility that the document is valid even without getting the signatures validated. Or do we need to, or will the strength of that document only be after it's validated? Because how valid is a document that has witnesses that signed on it before we validate those signatures, before we notarize the document?
Yeah. Well, we learned that there are 5 ways the document can be validated, right?
They
5. I don't remember. They could say it's our signature.
Well, you can bring in witnesses who saw it. You can bring in another document that the person has signed and compare it.
Right.
Handwriting expert, whatever. No,
Right.
I
thought there were 3. Either the witnesses themselves are still alive and they show up and they say, yes, we remember signing this, or they validate it from other signatures that they had, documents that they signed that were actually valid.
Right.
Or maybe the person himself admits that it's good, I think.
Or the person signed something in front of the Beis-Din and they compare the signatures.
Right.
So,
to change the clock.
Okay.
all right, thank you.
Okay. Have a good day. Have a good day, Elias. Have a good day.
Thank you, Rosemary. Thank you.